Reed joins us on the phone now from Ohio. Addison, thanks so much for taking a few minutes. How are you spending your off season, and when do you begin to ramp up for next year already?
Hey, how's it going? Everything is good. I'm here in sunny Canton, Ohio right now. It's starting to get cold, but I'll start throwing here middle of December. That's usually when I start throwing and start getting my arm in shape. So it's been nice. I think it's been about a month since our last game, so it's been kind of nice to give the body a break, give the arm a rest. But starting here in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start ramping it up again.
Addison, you said this year when you came over to the Mets that you hadn't really at that point followed the Mets too much at all. So now, a month removed, looking back on it, what surprised you the most about that 2015 team?
You know what? I said it a couple times when I first came over. It sounds cliche, but the guys never gave up. Everybody, we competed to the last out, and I use the example as the one example when we were in Washington playing the Nationals. When we went there for the 3-game series, and I think we were down at some point in every game, at least by 2 or 3 runs, and we ended up coming back all 3 of those games, and that was about a playoff atmosphere as it gets in the regular season, and we went in there and beat those guys. I mean, that's a tough team, and we went in there, beat them 3 games at their place, and you know what? When I saw that happen, I realized that this team really never gives up, no matter what the score is, no matter what the situation we're in. These guys battle until that last out is made.
Addison, we spoke a lot about this when you first came over from the Diamondbacks, but you had some early season struggles last year in Arizona. Ultimately were sent down to the minors, but then came back and finished the season so strong. How did that stint in the minors help you, and what was the biggest adjustment you made to become successful the way you were at the end of the year?
You know what? The first half of the season, I was just throwing the ball, like I've said in previous. I was just trying to throw the ball over the plate. Hopefully it was a strike, and whatever happened, happened. So, things obviously didn't go the way I wanted them to go in the first half of the season. Then got sent down, went to Reno, worked on some mechanical stuff. There was, I was throwing across my body a lot. I was lifting my leg. At the beginning of the season started, I was lifting my leg really high, had a high leg kick. Kind of changed things and went to kind of a modified slide step. So when I went to Reno, we kind of just made things as simple as possible and kind of met somewhere in the middle. We kind of not a high leg kick, but not a slide step, and that kind of got my rhythm and my timing all gathered up at the top real quick, and then went towards home plate. The other thing was getting my off-speed pitches over for strikes. I think the first half of the season in Arizona, the guys were, if you were in the batter's box against me, you could pretty much sit on a fastball and know that was what was going to come. Worked on getting my slider and change up over for strikes, and just got more comfortable with those pitches. And when I came back up, when I came over to the Mets, everything kind of clicked, and I just felt comfortable again.
You mentioned when you came over to the Mets, and so much credit has been given, and rightly so, to what Dan Warthen has been able to do with this entire pitching staff. How specifically did he help you when you came over?
Dan is awesome. He's one of the best I've ever worked with up until this point. But he kind of left me alone. I think I was throwing the ball well when I came over, so we didn't want to switch things up too much. You might be able to hear I'm in the car right now. My daughter's in the back seat, so she's starting to cry. You might hear her crying a little bit.
It's all right.
You know what? He didn't really mess with me too much. We kind of talked about things that we might tweak here in spring training. But you know what? He kind of let me be and let me do what I was doing when I came over there. We talked about it, and things were going well. So he didn't want to do too much to mess with the thing that I had going on at the time.
9 postseason outings for you in the playoffs this year. How will that experience help you moving forward, do you think?
Oh, I mean, that's the playoff atmosphere, especially in the World Series, is the toughest that the game can possibly be. So, going into the regular season, Not saying that any game is easier than the other, but just all the stuff that comes with the playoffs, the World Series, all the added distractions. If anything, it's gonna maybe make the regular season games a little less hectic, I guess. Things will kind of seem a little slower, I'd say, in the regular season than they were in the postseason. So that experience was like no other. That's the reason you play right there. And you always hear that there's nothing like playoff baseball, but I mean, my expectations were pretty high, and when we got there, it was that atmosphere was unreal, and hopefully I could experience that the rest of my career.
Well, Addison, tell your daughter we appreciate a few minutes. We'll let you get back to it. Thanks so much for the time, man, and we'll see you in a few months.
Of course, guys, anytime.